Video, hopefully you can see the light coming in my back window, but unless I tell you, assuming I'm possibly talking to you, whomever you are, see, I'm talking to you, not knowing who you are, when I'm meeting you, where. Well, most likely there's a strong possibility I have either already met you in one of my 3 Lyft cars, or I haven't met you yet, but I'm going to, and we're going to get connected because we met while I was driving you from point A to point B with Lyft, not in the truck, because I drove a truck solo for 10 years. And then I drove a truck with multiple co-drivers from April of 2009 at age 55 all the way to November 5, 2021, or about 13 years I drove a truck. I still even have my night shirt. I have a night thing. There's a lot to unpack here. I just literally made a video that's about 44 minutes long inside Starbucks, where I'm parked in front of, and I'm inside. There's nothing like the real thing, but I'm inside a black all electric car, specifically a 2022, and I have a lot to talk about. So instead of recording a lot of videos and stuff, and you're watching and wondering how everything fits together, I'm just going to have a conversation like I'm talking to you. Now, first off, in about an hour in my real time, I'm going to be talking to someone live, not a recorded video, who's very special to me. Now, she's not my mother. She's not my 2 sisters. She's not Sophia Rashkin, who I had a 13-year relationship with that was very special. We were real connected. We weren't boyfriend, girlfriend. She's not talking to me now. In fact, one of the last things she said to me, Sophia Rashkin, I hate Japan. I hate Denver. And she just married her partner, not Aaron. She was married to Aaron. When I first connected with her, I was actually in the elevator in San Diego after my sister Janet, who still lives in the same house in Hamul that she was living in when she gave me a ride to an Empower Network event. Now, this has got to be 13 years ago. And I parked my Volvo truck in her yard because Roger and Janet have a big yard and a big house that they have lived in forever. They've raised Aaron and Daniel, their 2 boys, who now have their own families, and they're almost, I think, 50. My mom and dad, my dad recently just passed away. Unfortunately, I was not with him, which is another whole story, why, and why that's so sad, and how that even happened. I'll just throw this in. Whatever I say, I'm not blaming my mother and father, or my mother specifically, or my 2 sisters, or not saying that I didn't have some contribution to some of the things that happened. But the problem, in fact, you're not supposed to say but, and the challenge is right now, Monday, July 28, 2025, at 5:08 p.m., I'm parked directly in front of the front door of Starbucks in Glendale. Now, if you're one of my riders who either often live right in this neighborhood, maybe even go to the Starbucks, this is, in my opinion, because I've been all over Denver, I lived here 18 years, this is one of the busiest Starbucks. Now, as you probably know, not all Starbucks are the same, whether they're in Japan, or in my case, way back in Cardiff by the Sea in Encinitas, or even downtown Encinitas. Not all Starbucks are the same. Some are smaller, some are bigger, but you may not understand how and why Starbucks has been a part of my story, unless I told you. And like right now, I'm parked in front of Starbucks. I know the whole evening crew. So the big question I like to answer is, why do I even come to this Starbucks? And what does this have to do with potentially a book or a movie or just me telling my story in videos that maybe no one's watching. Well, I have rituals. One of them, I don't expect you to even understand, and you probably don't do it yourself, and you may not be able to relate and identify why this is even important. But I can just tell you, as of right now, 12 hours ago, it's 5 p.m., 5 a.m., I normally come to this Starbucks before they open at 5, after sleeping in this car, and I have slept in my first car, 2017 Prius Touring, in a neighborhood called City Park West. Now, if you're one of my riders who lives in Denver, some of these places you may know about, may not know about. Denver is a pretty big place, but I'll be kind of real with you. That's kind of interesting. I'll say something you can't deny. Denver, Colorado is definitely bigger than Arizona City, Arizona, where my parents bought a house and paid cash for it, $47,000. Now, if I send this to my friend Chikako in Tokyo, she'll know some of this stuff because she actually lived, not just visited, but she actually lived, I think with an honest intention to stay, at least for a while, longer than she ultimately did. But she actually lived in my guest room. I was in my master bedroom, and she met my mother, my father, my two sisters. She's been over to Kathy and Olin's place. She was a part of my real life for 2 years. When what makes Chikako extra special, even though we're not talking, like Sophia and I aren't talking, but we had a lot of special memories for 13 years. In fact, you'd have to know Chikako. When she was living with me, I was talking to her about Sophia and Empower Network. She knows a lot about my history. Why? The other reason is she's a part of my history. Before she even came and lived in Arizona City, I started to say move. I actually flew to Denver and drove her 2005 Cavalier with her two dogs from Denver down south towards Albuquerque and across through Tucson, and took exit 200 and drove her to the house for the first time and showed her where her room was, and she had her things sent there, and I said, just make it your home. And I told her pretty much, if I remember correctly, now this has been a while, that I'm only home 4 days out of the month. I don't pay any rent or mortgage here. My parents bought this house and wrote a check out for it for $47,000 as an investment. And they were nice enough and generous, although I realized later I didn't have to have this house. But if I didn't have the house, Chikako wouldn't have a house to visit or be my guest if I didn't have the house. So in one respect, I'm glad they paid cash for the house, offered it to me, because Chikako would have a place to go to with her two dogs, Mocha and Chewy, after she came back from not speaking to me for 4 years, but she came back to Denver after she was in Okinawa, Japan. She had her own whole story related to her own mother and father and all her history, which is pretty remarkable, I think. She has a remarkable story. My understanding, I may not have this exactly right, but I think Chikako was born in Tokyo, but she came to the United States originally when she was very young as a foreign exchange student. And you'd have to know Chikako. She's told me that her Japanese friends at work and stuff have told her, you're so American. If you met her, you wouldn't even know. She looks Japanese, but you wouldn't know that she's actually not an American citizen. That she actually, I don't know now that she's older, how many years she spent in Japan and how many years in the US, but the point is, she, in my mind, spoke perfect English and understand the politics and the life and here and Arizona City, Denver, and understands the United States quite well, more than the average person I have a pretty good understanding of Japan now that I went 5 times in 2 years. And it started out, related to Chicago, going to Japan started out as that's why it's so special. I'm actually going to be having a live call, which I can tie that in with Chicago and I talking on the phone. But I'm going to have a live video call with Amy. It's 5 p.m., 5:14 p.m. to be exact, here in Denver, where Chicago actually lived on South Downing Street. She lived here when I first originally met her. In fact, I met her in my taxi cab. I picked her up. She just like my riders right now. She was just a random person I picked up in the cab, and she got my cab. Maybe she doesn't even remember this and know this, but this is what I remember. Our memories count almost 100%, but this is kind of what I remember. Is I was, I think, in my 50s now. I'm 71, and I picked her up, brought her to where she was going. I thought she was in her mid-20s, that she was beautiful. I didn't mean it like I wanted to get her phone number and date her or anything, because I was quite a bit older, but I just thought she was a beautiful young lady, and you'd have to know Chicago and had the kind of coolest personality and stuff. And that's the thing about all of us. We don't see ourselves like other people do, and sometimes people make remarks about us and we don't maybe understand or even see it, because we can't see ourselves unless we make videos. See, I can see myself talking, but I can't see me like you see me. But I can at least see me talking because I'm making videos. But anyway, so I dropped her off, and I put out to the universe, God or the universe, if we're meant to connect, I just leave it up to you. So what happened? She left her sunglasses, which I guess were all the sunglasses in the back seat. I don't think she did it intentionally. But I got a message from the dispatcher of the cab company. Said the last customer left her sunglasses in the back seat and wondered if you go to Cherry Creek, which right now I'm parked about a 5-minute drive from Cherry Creek. In fact, the very place I drove to see Chicago, in fact, the very same place where I picked up her parents at the airport and brought her parents who flew in from Japan to a hotel. It's just 10 minutes from where I'm recording this. So I have a lot of history here. But anyway, what I remember, I'm not 100%, I think she might have given me a $20 bill. I don't know if she wrote her phone number down, but I do remember she said something along the lines, I use a regular cab. How would you like to be my regular cab driver? And something along those lines. So I started driving her to work as her regular cab driver to the salon where she worked, and one thing led to another. We started becoming best friends. But she told me right off the bat, I'm not going to be in a relationship for 5 years. I wasn't expecting to be in a romantic relationship, but she ended up being my best friend. We talked 3 or 4 times a day until one day, after we were friends for 5 years, she met a guy named Steve, and one thing led to another, fell in love. And I don't know if you've seen people that were brand new in a relationship and love. You can kind of just see them. They're staring at each other and they're just so happy to be together. It's the honeymoon part of their relationship, and life couldn't be better, and they're in love. I think it was kind of like that way with Chicago when she talked about Steve. She was really in love with the guy. So she ended up leaving Denver and didn't talk to me for 4 years. I just assumed she was happy. And, that happens. But anyway, long story short, 4 years went by. We didn't even talk. And then one day, I was up in Seattle, Washington. I was no longer in Denver. I was driving for night transportation, and my Skype phone rang. She might not even remember this, but she called me from Okinawa, Japan. I'm pretty sure she didn't know I wasn't in Denver anymore. I was in Arizona. She didn't know all the stuff that she missed out on because we didn't talk for 4 years. I didn't know all the stuff that happened in her life. But one thing led to another. She just basically told me she was coming back to Denver. I told her I'm not in Denver anymore. I'm actually in Arizona. And this was basically what I told her. I have a house. I'm only home 4 days out of the month, but I have a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. It was the first time I ever had a house in my whole life that I didn't pay rent or mortgage because my parents owned it. And the first time in my whole life I lived in the same place, not a little apartment or anything, but a house for a decade. And the first time in my whole life, and they'll probably never happen again, I get a little nervous in this parking lot. Please don't back up into my car. please don't back up into my car. There was this Starbucks has a drive-through and it's real busy, and I've got all these shades up, and people start backing up, and I thought, do you see my car back here? 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 I hate when people are backing up and they're going kind of fast and going, do you see my car here? I had a young lady, I was parked innocently on the street, and she comes backing up really fast, and finally a honk, because she was like 6 inches from my bumper going real fast, and a honk. She gets out of her car, she goes, I saw you, why are you honking at me? I didn't know whether you're gonna stop or not. What do you want me to do? Wait till you ran into the back of my car? Boom! Oh, by the way, did you see me back here? Now, she yelled at me for honking. I said, look, I didn't know you saw me. You were coming back into my car. I'm sorry. That's what it's like in this parking lot. That's what it's like in this Starbucks parking lot. And that's why it's so much more calm at 5 in the morning. But right now, it's prime time. People are getting off work. This is a real happening place. And I got my shades up. Anyway, back on point. Amy's coming on live. We've been doing live video calls. Now, when Chicago and I used to talk, when she went back to Japan, we talked. She called me almost every Monday. We used to talk on the phone. That's the amazing thing. We would talk, but we didn't do video. But Amy and I do video. Now, here's my thing. Talking on the phone is great. But when you do video, back and forth live, and on top of it, you spent time. See, I spent actually more time with Amy than I did with Chicago. All 5 trips to Japan, and I loved it. I only saw Chicago one day. We did a marathon day. We go out to dinner. We did all kinds of cool stuff, and I at least saw her 5 times of the 5 trips I went. But Amy, I was in her home for 2 weeks. I met her husband. We went to the temple. We went to Mount Fuji. We spent a lot of time together in Japan. Plus, she became my Nichiren Shoshu sponsor. And we've been doing video calls for 4 years. It's been 6 years since I went to Japan. And she contacted me and she said, we want to try video. Anyway, that's a whole sign thing with Amy. We're really close because you get close. You talk to each other via video, and she listens. First thing we do when we get together, I know I'm going on another tangent. When the phone rings, like when Chicago used to call me, she'd call me, and her ring had a special ring, but I just answer and we talk. But with Amy, her phone, same Facebook Messenger, Chicago and I used to talk through, I believe. It starts ringing, and then I answer, and I go to video. She goes to video, and we just pick up, hi, how's it going? I can see her, but on Thursdays, it's not Thursday, she's actually calls me from the temple we belong to. But on this call, she's going to be at home. And first thing I do, normally, unless she's pressed for time, sometimes she'll say, I have to go, I can only do the chanting, and I need to go. But we spent as much as, this is free. We spent as much as an hour on the phone, an hour and a half, because I will tell her what's going on. And I still have a lot going on. It feels like I'm forever going to be in this chapter in, which is completely different than the chapter I was in when Chicago lived in my home. Because I'm going to tell her what just happened this last weekend and what just happened today. And she listens and she understands. And what you may not know about Amy, what's kind of cool, is she studied English. She writes it perfectly. She's never been to the United States like Chicago, but she speaks it, writes it, I would say probably pretty close to as good as Chicago. And she's only been to Hawaii 3 times or 4 times. And I admire her for that, because I only know how to say it. I'd probably say it wrong. Konnichiwa arigato. That's it. But for the first several videos she did with me, she did the second prayer. People are getting out of the car. I thought they almost hit me. It's a BMW. I think there's just two of them. They're going to walk right by my car. Anyway. The first couple years that we were doing these calls, she did the second of 5 prayers. The second of 5 prayers that was 30 pages long. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo Ben Pandai Ni Niji Sei Sun Anju Nikki. 30 pages. She did it. I kind of listened and kind of silently. We were walking right by my car. I know I'm kind of the only guy here that parks directly in front of the front door and has shades all around my car. You know, the police actually came here one time when I was here in the morning, and I don't have a window open where I can knock, but they knocked on my window. I rolled down my window. I said, "Sir, can I help you?" He goes, "We're just checking you out because you have these shades around your car, and I didn't know if you're doing weird things in your car." And I opened up my window and took my shade down and said, "I'm actually here because I have a YouTube channel and I make videos. See on this phone? See, I pull up YouTube. I said, this is me. I'm not doing weird things, although this is kind of weird, but I have a channel. And I drive for left and I take breaks here and I come to this Starbucks because I take a break and I make a video. That's what I'm doing." And he's like, "Oh, okay. We just wanted to check out and make sure that, you know, you weren't weird." Or I said, "I am weird, by the way, but this is what I do that's weird." And he said, "Okay, we won't bother you. We're here 3 nights out of the week. We'll tell the other guys about you, but they may knock on your window because this is something that people don't normally do, park in front of Starbucks this early before they open. So we just want to check up on you." So that actually happened to me. But anyway, sometimes when I take the shades down, because if I take this front shade down, I'm looking right at the front door. People are walking in the front door and they're walking out the front door and they're coming right at my car because the front door is literally just right in front of me. And so they think I'm filming them because they can see this video and they think I'm filming. I said, "No, I'm not filming you." So that's why I just put the shade up. But anyway, real quick before Amy comes on, this is what happened this weekend. And this is a perfect example. And I'm so relieved. But let me tell you the truth. I'm still not out of the woods. I still could potentially be homeless without my Lyft business, without this Lyft car, and have no income except for my Social Security check and literally have nowhere to go. While my mom, who just lost my dad, is in a retirement home. We're so different, my sister. This is how my life is. I literally spent my last $3 on a cup of coffee, and I won't have any money. Now, I've thought about telling my riders, the ones I have a rapport with, "Do you mind giving me a tip in cash? Because it goes to my Lyft app, and I won't see the money until I pay $500, and then the tips you're giving me will start coming to me, and that might be 5 days from now." So I might just I can even put a little sign. I should probably do that because I get sometimes I get $125 in tips, and I'll put a little sign up here. I might get $50 of cash tips and have a little thing there, and I would have $50 spending money. And that's kind of one of the ideas I have out of necessity. But anyway, here's what happened. And here's the lesson I learned. My Lyft weeks run from 5 a.m. Monday, which is 12 hours ago, to 5 a.m. the following Monday. That's when they run. I have 24 hours from 5 a.m. Monday, 12 hours ago, till 5 a.m. tomorrow. I don't have to work, but if I do work, I can drive or pick up to 12 hours of people in any combination I want. I don't have to do 12 hours, but I can do 5 in the morning, 5 at night, 10 hours. Whatever combination I want. But as soon as if I do indeed work 12 hours, I have to stop and take an 8-hour break. In other words, I can't work 24 hours a day. So that leaves, even if you have simple terms, if I split my day in half, like one half is 5 a.m. in the morning till 5 a.m. at night, which probably, if it wasn't so doggone hot, that would probably be the most ideal. 5 a.m. in the morning till 5 a.m. at night. picking people up for 12 hours, and at 5 p.m. at night till 5 in the morning, I'm off. I've had 12 hours to make videos, to go to St. Mark's, to come here, to do whatever I want, and I wouldn't feel guilty because I split my day in half. That was one option. Because here I have a subdude that says all the time, you should be working, you should be working, you should be working, you could be working. Why are you talking on camera? It's like, why are you doing this? You should be working, you should be working. And the subdude's voice in my head is right. There's sometimes I should be working, but right now I don't want to work. This has actually happened with Amy. I've literally forgot about a call, and I was literally with a rider in my car when she was calling me, and the phone rang, and the rider would say, oh, you can pick up on it. And she was literally on video as I'm driving, and I could see her, and she could see me, and the rider could see her. And I said, hey, Amy, I'm with the rider. I forgot about a call, but I'm dropping them off in about 10 minutes. I'll find a place to park and we can do the call. Do you have 10 minutes? And she'll say, yeah, okay, I'll see you in 10 minutes. And I literally can just drop them off. I don't have to go back to my place because I don't have a place anymore. See, that's one benefit. Tony says you always have to go look at the positive. Because I don't have an apartment, I don't have an apartment to go to talk to Amy, because the first couple of years I was doing talks with her on my big screen in my apartment. I was always like, okay, I've got to get back to my apartment because the call is at 6 o'clock today. But now I don't have to worry about that, because all I have to do is either do the call here, which we do a lot, or go to a shopping center, or just drive somewhere, stop the car, and sit and talk to her anywhere I'm at. So anyway, here's what happened. I was down to owing only $100. I barely worked the first part of the week. This is where my mistake was. Instead of working really hard and zeroing out my Lyft lease by Wednesday, I fucked around. My throat. I screwed around, assuming or thinking I'll have the whole weekend to catch up. Which I thought was going to happen. So what happened? It's been hot during the day too. So I made the plan. I worked in the morning, and I thought I'll take a break during the day when it's hot. Like right now, it's still 100 degrees. I got the air conditioning going. It's 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It's still hot. It's a black car. And when it's black, it's hot. But anyway, so I went to work at 8:30 when the sun goes down. I was going to work 5 hours to make $100. I picked up my first rider, and on the way from Starbucks here to picking them up, my tire sensor gauge said I had only 29 pounds. It looked like I had a slow leak. So I went and picked up this elderly man, a senior, and I told him, sir, I'm sorry. I know I'm only taking a few miles, but I have a slow leak. I wasn't planning on my right tire. He was real rude, like, you can take me. That's no excuse. And he was talking to his daughter. I said, I could hear on the phone. I said, ma'am, I'm sorry. Your father, I can't take him because I got a slow leak. See, some people are so impatient. They can't put themselves in your position. I wasn't planning on this, but I really don't feel comfortable taking your father because I did not know I had a slow leak until I actually was in front of his place. And then he's like, shut up. He's like, shut up. Just stop talking. You know, we'll get another car. Just stop talking. He was real rude. And so that's what happened. I didn't know what happened, but it happened 2 other times. I ran over a screw, I thought, but I wasn't sure. And of all times, it happened Saturday night in Discount Tire, where they repair the slow leak for free if it had happened during regular hours, 8 a.m. till 6 p.m., Monday through Saturday. I could have drove to Discount Tire in an hour. They could fix the tire, and I went back to work. But since it happened Saturday night, and then they're closed on Sunday, I couldn't do that $100 to zero out my account. So therefore, technically, I owe that $100, and I don't have $100 in my checking account, so it'll say declined. And then they give me a whole week to pay that, but then a whole week to pay that $100 plus the $400 that I now owe now, or a total of $500. And the next day, I was planning on working again the whole day to make $150 to $200 that I would have now. So I'd have $200 to charge my car for the 3 days that I need to work to zero things out. So the whole weekend got screwed up, and I was very concerned because this car is everything to me. This phone, this car, my business. If I don't have this car, my phone, and my business, and my mom doesn't understand. See, my mom and my sisters, they're completely different. I talk to my mom, she's like, I've got to pay $4,500 for this place. It's all inclusive, all the meals. I have an apartment. It takes care of everything, medical and everything. And I'm going to sell the house. And I knew this was coming. 90, Dad died. We talked about we didn't want to go to retirement home. Now I'm here. And here she doesn't have. Their financial advisor said she could live. She's 90 to be 120 or 30 more years to be 120 and live in this retirement home for 30 more years and not have to think about it, not be down to her last dollar or anything. And she's kind of complaining about it. And my sister, Kathy, got $250,000 from the state in 1987 because her husband was shot and killed. And she got 2 tax-free incomes for the last 40 years. Tax-free. And my other sister, Janet, just retired. She did work 20 years. She's retired. And she lives in a big house her husband built. I guess he's got an inheritance. The point is, my whole family's set. And I'm the weird one. And my sister, Janet, is in charge of the state, and she's kind of sabotaging my life. And this is a perfect example of ignorance. When someone's doing something, they feel like they're doing it for the right reasons, and they may, on a certain level, be protecting my mom from me, from her, getting stressed out, worrying about me, or sending money to me because I'm not doing well. She's doing it for what she feels is the right reasons. But, for example, I'll give you specifics. When I lost my job, I lost my job. But I had $20,000 saved. My car was paid for. And I was going to have to retire anyway, but I thought I was going to retire 5 years later. But I lost my job. Sophia, when she was talking to me, said, you didn't lose your job. The universe fired you. The universe, she's into woo-woo, stuff. She said, the universe fired you. Nothing happened. You just got stuck in the mud. The truck wasn't damaged. The trailer wasn't damaged. You didn't kill yourself. All that happened is you got fired. And you got stuck in the mud. Which is true. But her interpretation is, you didn't do anything wrong. The universe was, Tony Robbins talks about this too. What if the universe is happening for you, not to you? So that's the way she kind of looked at it. But then Janet persuaded my mom to sell the house that I called home for 10 years, rent-free, mortgage-free, because she said, Doug's a poor homeowner. He's a liability. If he stays in the house, it's going to depreciate in value, and there's going to be a time that it's not worth anything. Which isn't true. But she's convincing her that. So my mom said, we need to sell the house. And it's their house. I said, Mom, it's okay. But here's the point. I was telling them it's okay because it's their house to sell, but that was when I had my truck to live in, travel in, and I didn't need the house. I could be routed to Portland or Denver or anywhere because I had a truck to live in and drive. But when I was fired, I no longer had the truck and that income. That's when the house became important as far as stability. Plus, the thing is, my dad died in that house. And if she didn't sell the house, I would be across the street the whole last year when my dad was dying. And I would have been there for his 90th birthday. And I would have been there when he died. But Janet and my mom didn't understand the significance of that. And they could have sold the house after my dad died. And still, go on the computer, it's appreciating in value. another year wouldn't have mattered, and then they could have sold. I could have left and saw my dad when he died. But no. So I helped my mom clear out the whole house, knowing I'd be homeless and jobless. I traded my didn't paid for a Subaru for my van. Drove out to Encinitas, and on New Year's Eve I was in Encinitas, and I said, just keep me posted on the house. She put it on the market. It sold in the spring. They paid $40,000 for it. They sold the house. They made a $200,000 profit. My dad said, because he was alive at the time, this isn't our money. We don't even need the money. $200,000 profit. We don't even need it. We don't even need it. Here I'm like, I lost my job. I was like rock. I was kind of not where I am now. Definitely not where I am now. But it's like, oh, we don't need it. It's $200,000. Don't worry. So the point is, my family, my two sisters and my family are completely different wavelengths. I don't even think or even believe they've ever been down to zero. Ever. Or been broke. Or didn't know how they're going to buy a cup of coffee. So when I talk about stuff, they can't even relate to it. It's like I'm talking in Chinese or something. My mom kind of goes like this. She goes, oh, yeah. And I start talking, yeah. Like, oh, okay, I hear you, yeah. So it's kind of like, I don't even hear you, because I see you in a certain way, yeah, whatever you're saying, I don't even hear it. All I hear is your liability. So, in a way, it's sad. Amy, I hate to say, I think on a certain level, because my mom was telling me when my dad died, are you going to come out and visit me so you can see me before I die? I like to see you before I die. But at the same time, she tells me that I have the cardiovascular system of a teenager. My doctor said there's nothing wrong with me, and I'm going to live at least 10 more years. And then she's told me, this is how weird my whole life is. My mom has told me, the $5,000 that you didn't pay Kathy back when she had $250,000, when I die, I'm taking $5,000 from your inheritance, sending it to Kathy, and with interest. So I looked up how much 5,000 interest for 40, 50 years, it's 100,000 or something like that. So my mom, when she dies, and now she's going to die, she won't even know, but she has it written out. Kathy will get her inheritance. Janet will get her inheritance. Of course, I have supposedly an equal share, but she's going to take 5,000 plus interest and 100,000 sister out of my inheritance 10 years from now when she dies, and I'll probably not even be alive. This is how weird my life is. Now, this is how my mom and my sisters are different. Maybe I would be different. But if I had several 100,000 and a financial advisor said I have, now I don't know where the money, maybe it's all tied up and she can't do anything. But my impression is my mom can, but she itemizes everything. She said, we've already given you in the course of all these years $30,000 so far. $30,000 out of several 100,000. This is what we've given you so far, so I can't give you any more until I die. But the truth is, if my mom gave me even 5,000 to help me get through this tough transition, I wouldn't spend it. I just would have money, so if I wanted to take a day off, I could. And I wouldn't be having this, I ran over a nail. So I got a flat tire, so I lost 250. Shit. Could lose the car. See, I can't go down the street and see nails and screws on the highway. I'm driving along. Oh yeah, there's a nail. There's a screw. I gotta go around it. I can't see nails and screws. I just drive and then when I spent the night at Discount Tire, I talked to the guy. I said, this is the third time this tire has. He felt the tire. Well, yeah, this is a little screw right here. That's what caused the problem. I aired up the tire the day before, and it still wasn't completely flat. It was such a slow leak. The tire was still kind of inflated. So that sent me back $250. So therefore I don't have any money. Meantime, my mom's not talking to me right now. So I could call her, but every time I call my mom, and I understand how she'd feel this way, I get the impression she says, he's calling me for money. I'm not, even though it would be nice. No, Mom, and what am I supposed to do? She asked me, how am I doing? Well, I'm doing fabulous. I might be homeless in about a week, and I don't even have a place to sleep. I don't have a sleeping bag. I don't even have money to buy a sleeping bag. I don't think I can take my $1,400 mattress out of the storage and go find a place to set it up. Maybe that's an idea. Maybe I can find an open field where I can take my mattress and put it in a van and go find an open freeway off-ramp and put the mattress down so I have a $1,400 mattress to sleep on the side of the road. I don't know. I might have to start thinking about that. No, it's just we're on completely different wavelengths. But here's the bottom line. Something very positive happened today, and I'll end with this because I got my call coming up with Amy. This really happened, and this is a perfect example of what Tony teaches and Dean teaches and Matthew teaches. In fact, that's why I read page 3 every day. Can I read it? Well, I'll tell you what happened. This made me happy. Do you know why? My whole stress was I won't even have the money to charge my car. I'll have the car where I can drive it. I'll have the phone on. I don't have to pay my phone bill so August 7th. But I won't be able to drive the car to pay off the $500 because I don't have the money to charge my car. And I was like really freaking out. I was going, I'm going to lose this car. And guess what happened? I decided, true story, I decided to go for it. I went on Google. I said, I didn't think it was free charging because I have an Electrify America account. I have to put money in it to charge in the charging stations here. And so I just typed in free charging. And guess what happened? Right at the Cherry Creek Library, there's 2 spaces with a free charging station. And not only that, you can charge up to 2 hours without any problems. And I went and got a library card, so while my car is getting charged for free, I can go into the library with my laptop and make a movie and not have to pay for parking, right? Or I can go to Cherry Creek Mall when I do have money, the Apple Store. The point is, it's free. Anytime, 24 hours a day. So therefore, I don't have to stress out about not being able to charge my car. Now, I'll probably still use the Electrify America when I'm out somewhere and there's not one of these free chargers. But the point is, this will save my life. It's been there all along. That's what I'm going to tell. Now, Amy will probably say, it's Buddha. You've been chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And she believes she's a born-again Buddhist. But anyway, that happened today, so I'm so relieved. But the truth is, I'm still broke. But I think in about a week, I can turn things around and zero out my account. And I have the satisfaction of going over there and hooking up. I just did it once, and it was fabulous. I charge it up to, I'm 89%. I got the air conditioning going. I charge it to 91%, and I have the air going right now. And I can go over there anytime. I have an app where I can even just check and see if it's available. And most likely, more than likely, real early in the morning, 2 in the morning or something, I think it'll be available. So I can actually stop there on the way to where I car camp, on the way to St. Mark's Coffee House. So I found the solution, and it changed my whole perspective. Anyway, this has been a 44-minute just rant. The other one's a 45-minute creative intelligence. And these two could be one movie, another movie that nobody watches, but I like making them. I mean, it's better that people don't watch her because they'll think I'm crazy. Because how many people make videos and talk to themselves on camera like I do? But do you know what's funny? Do you know who appreciates me? It's not every writer, but I'd say out of 20, there's 2 or 3 writers that get me to the point they subscribe to my channel. Now, they may not watch it, and there's a guy named James who I met who can do my thumbnails. I've been wanting to have a guy like Mike, but locally, and he had me go to his site. He does thumbnails. He can help me rewrite my whole social media. Now, I said he would do thumbnails for as little as $10 because he probably does it just like that. So he's giving me hope. And then I have my mastermind with Dean Graziosi, Tony Robbins, Matthew McConaughey, and I have Amy. And I have people like Bloom, who gets me, but he just went to the other illegal pizza. When I start having money, I can start going to that one and talking to him. So there's hope. That's just, you have to have a little hope in the midst of chaos and people that don't get you. See, my sister don't get me. My sister Kathy said, "You cease to exist." It's bad when you're mother. Now, I think my mom still loves me, but she hasn't called me. I haven't called her, and I'm assuming the vibe I get, either one of several things, but just projection. Either she's overwhelmed, she's having a real difficult time being in a retirement home, or my sister's feeding her a bunch of crap. Don't even talk to Doug. Look, he's not even calling you. He doesn't care. You know, don't bother talking to him. He just wants money. He's just waiting for you to die. You know, this is kind of how my sister's probably telling my mom, which all of which isn't true. So I have to get my shit together before she dies. That's what she told me. She said, "Can you get your shit together before I die? Can you?" And when I told her I was at the end of my rope, you know what she said to me? "Oh, you're at the end of the rope like Robin Williams who hung himself." So that's what I'm up against. I have to get my shit together before my mom dies, but she said she's not going to die for 10 years. So hopefully I got a 10-year window, and I have to live long enough to get my shit together so that I get my shit together and visit my mom and tell her I've got my shit together now. And then before I die. So I have to do it before she dies, but I have to do it before I die. And most likely I'm not going to see my inheritance because my sisters have this all planned. If they completely... My mom has probably already written me out of the will. So that means I'm even more motivated to get my shit together because I won't have any money coming from my inheritance. So there's a reframe there. It's forcing me to get my shit together because there's no inheritance coming. And even Matthew said this in his talk. He said, "There's no one here to rescue you." He was talking to me. He didn't even know he was talking to me. Anyway, 8 minutes before the call, I got to get set up for maybe. Be right back at another time. Stay tuned. Be back.